gets out there. This is the great and powerful Nik Beat on CIUT 89.5 FM, and this is Howl Radio, spoken word, music, art, talk. And we'll be back with our first guest, former Native Chief, singer-songwriter RoseAnne Archibald, and the rest of our show, which is The Feminine Mystique, Part 20. We'll be back in a minute with Howl Radio with Nik Beat.
Okay, I'm going to go up into the room and capture.
You know what? I'm going to have you pronounce this name, this Indian name.
Oh,
I could never pronounce it.
I can do it, and it's Suvankam Tamavongsa.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'll do it.
Is that enough action to keep people interested? I'm exercising the devil. There we go.
Get that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, this is Nik Beat on CIUT 89.5 FM on your dial, and this, of course, is another hour of spoken word, art, talk, and music. And I am here, and it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful winter night, where those snowflakes keep falling, and they insist on falling and falling and falling and falling. But I've heard good news. At the end of the week, temperatures are going to go up, and hopefully that'll be the last drop of winter that drops on us. Anyway, I'm the host, Nik Beat. I'm filling in, as I have been, for Nancy Bullis, my co-host. She's away in a balmy climate with her husband Larry, hopefully having a great time. And of course, I'll be back in next week on March 11th to do another Howl show. But we have right now on the phone former Native Chief, singer, songwriter, writer, and poet, RoseAnne Archibald. RoseAnne, are you there, lady?
I am. Hi, Nick.
Hey, it's good to talk to you. Now, you've moved. Where have you moved?
I haven't. I'm still in Toronto. I'm just not in Toronto tonight.
Oh, so where are you?
I'm in Cochrane, Ontario.
Cochrane, Ontario. Where's that?
Yeah. It's about 8 hours north of the city. Like, if you drove straight north from Toronto, you would hit Cochrane, and then you would have to turn west from there.
Okay. Former Native Chief, singer, songwriter, writer, and poet, RoseAnne Archibald. RoseAnne, are you there, lady?
I am. Hi, Nick.
Hey, it's good to talk to you. Now, you've moved. Where have you moved?
I haven't. I'm still in Toronto. I'm just not in Toronto tonight.
Oh, so where are you?
I'm in Cochrane, Ontario.
Cochrane, Ontario. Where's that?
Yeah. It's about 8 hours north of the city. Like, if you drove straight north from Toronto, you would hit Cochrane, and then you'd have to turn west from there.
Okay.
On Highway 11.
And why are you in Cochrane tonight?
I'm doing some work with one of the First Nation companies that is a part of my community.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is Nik Beat. We're talking to RoseAnne Archibald. She's also a singer-songwriter. We're going to be playing a song that she actually had us play before, I Know Who I Am. We'll be playing that right after our interview with RoseAnne. RoseAnne, I wanted to just throw out a subject to you, which is what are your feelings about this pipeline controversy vis-a-vis native lands and that kind of concerns?
Well, I mean, I can't really express on behalf of other First Nations or other entities because I'm retired. I mean, I'm no longer a chief, and I can only give you my personal opinion.
Sure, that's all I was asking, definitely.
But yeah, I think that there are, I mean, we've seen a lot of these spills happen in the last year or so that have really devastated ecosystems. And so from an environmental perspective, I think it's a bit scary to have that much, toxins running through our land with the possibility that a pipe will burst or something else will happen, and then that kind of damage is really hard to undo. So ecologically, I think it's kind of a tricky situation. I also know, though, that some First Nations are in favor of development. Like they want their resources developed, they want to be a part of the development, they want to benefit, they want to have economic growth in their community. So I think it's a real sort of balancing issue between the innate part of us that is, as Indigenous people, that's environmental and that really, we really care about the earth, and we really take our stewardship of the land in Canada very seriously in terms of trying to maintain the integrity of the earth and to keep it clean and lasting for generations to come. At the same time, we live in a wage economy, and people want to participate in that economy. Where I'm from, which is a small community just outside of Cochrane, we've been participating in the wage economy for quite some time, and so we're the kind of community that wants to move ahead with development, but wants to see it happen in a balanced way, where we're protecting the environment while at the same time trying to develop the economic opportunities of the land. So, I mean, I think it's complicated. It's not so cut and dry for Native people to say, oh, I'm against that or I'm for that. I think there are a lot of voices out there.
Okay. This is Nik Beat. We're talking to former Canadian Native Chief RoseAnne Archibald. And once again, I've got to thank my dear friend, Gabe Boston, for originally introducing me to RoseAnne. And we've since become Facebook friends. I had her on the show a few months ago, and I hope you're enjoying our interview. A little later, we're going to be playing a song by her, I Know Who I Am. And then we're going to be interviewing Niki Koulouris, who's got a new book, The Sea with No One in It. We'll be talking about the launch, where it is, the date, who else is going to be participating in that, and talking to her directly. She's in the studio right now, waiting to go on. A little later, we'll be talking to Emily Schooley. And then, near the end of the show, maybe the last 15 minutes, we're going to be playing part one of The Receptionist, which is by Chiffon Dugan, and fantastic radio play. I saw it live, and we're going to be playing part 1 to 5 over the course of the late winter and spring here in Toronto, Canada. And say hi to all my friends all over the world. We're on the worldwide internet at this very moment. www.ciut.fm. RoseAnne Archibald. Why are you no longer a chief, Roseanne? Why did you retire? I'm just curious.
Well, I did it for 20 years.
Oh, okay.
I started really young. I mean, the first time I was chief, I was 23 years old. The first time I was a young chief. Like, this was, when I was involved in politics, it was the 90s. And, it was a different world. If you were vocal and you were articulate and had a measure of education, like formal education, I had gone to community college at that point. I feel like that was the kind of world where you could gain entry into politics and into leadership roles far easier than you can today. I think the whole political landscape has shifted in the last 20 years, but that was the kind of world I came into. And also my dad was a chief, and my grandfather was a chief. So there's this sort of family business nature to politics and leadership in our family. And I, followed in those footsteps. But yeah, I started young. I did all kinds of different roles. I eventually did go back. I took a sabbatical and went back to university. I got my master's degree, then went back again and became chief again. A very different experience the second time around for me, because the first time I was chief, I was 23, and I had just graduated from community college. And so the second time I became the chief of my community, I wasn't quite even done my master's degree. I was just in the middle, sort of the end of wrapping it up. So, they were really interesting experiences for me to be able to be a groundbreaking leader, to be able to be a young leader. One of the things I think about in terms of being so young in that role is that I realize now, and I didn't realize it at the time, was that people in those days saw your potential for leadership, saw your potential to do good, to to do well, to lead the people, to be of good service to the people, and they gave you that chance. But they didn't expect me to be the leader that I eventually became in that moment. But I think that those kinds of opportunities don't exist anymore. If you're going to go into politics today, you had better have, you know, a lot of the background and a lot of experience under your belt rather than what I had to go through. I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling a bit about it, but I did want to also say thank you to Gay, who is such a good friend of mine now and who did introduce us. And I'm always glad to do your show, always glad to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about.
Oh, okay. What do you think of our Prime Minister vis-a-vis First Nations affairs? Your personal opinion.
My personal opinion.
Yeah. Is he an idiot? Is he great? Is he in between? What is he?
You know what? Let me address it from an artistic perspective.
Okay.
I don't know if I've told you this, Nick, but I'm doing a painting series, headdresses. I'm putting headdresses on iconic figures because I'm a mixed media painter. And somebody in Vancouver, when I was there last, said to me, you know, you should put a headdress on Harper.
That's a great idea.
And I just immediately balked at the idea. I was just like, no. But then I thought, well, maybe I could do what another artist did, which is, I think this other artist painted him nude. And so maybe I could do a nude picture of Harper with a headdress. A very tattered and torn headdress, and, you know, give him a couple of shiners or something. So basically, that's how I feel about Harper.
Okay. Gotcha. In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
And eventually, a picture will be worth 1,000 words. So, so are you really going to paint that?
I'm thinking about it now.
Please.
I thought at the time that he, you know, my friend had sort of recommended it, I just thought no, because the part of the series, like, is about how the headdress is something that is ours culturally. It's an indigenous symbol. It's a symbol of honor. It's something that's bestowed upon you when you have done something. And so I've always had these issues of putting the headdress on people that I don't agree deserve to have a headdress on their head. But then, you know, I did one of the Queen of England, and I put a very fancy, glittery kind of headdress on her, and I had a hard time doing it because of the history of the crown with First Nations in Canada. But I did a lot of other interesting things in the painting to express that kind of feeling that I had about putting this headdress on her. So I hope to show you that headdress painting one day, but it's a very, very dark, lots of blood, you know, lots of elements in there that aren't very positive, and I wanted to reflect that in the painting because the headdress to me is about appropriation, how in Canada everything's been appropriated from us. First and foremost, the land, and then cultural symbols, you know, and then names of places. Like, I just read an article online, and the article said, oh, there's a place in northern Saskatchewan where none of the creeks have names. And I thought, of course they have names, but they don't have non-native names. They have indigenous names. These places, every square inch of North America has an indigenous name. It has an indigenous grounding. It has an indigenous meaning. And the idea that somehow there are parts of this country that are unnamed was just so offensive to me. And so that's what the headdress series is called. It's called Appropriation by the Appropriated. So we're taking symbols and appropriating them to us. So, yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, this is Nik Beat. We're talking to RoseAnne Archibald and Native Issues, and I hope you're enjoying Howl. Very soon we're going to be talking to, after we play the music of RoseAnne Archibald, we're going to be talking to a writer, author that I met again, which is Niki Koulouris, and then later we'll be talking to Emily Schooley, and then at the end of the show, I'll let you set it up. What's the song about from your point of view? Where did it come from?
Well, the song was written by a musician named Marshall Lee George, who is from Kettle Point Reserve, which is, you know, the very famous standoff that happened where Dudley George was killed by the OPP. He's from that reserve. And I met Lee at a summer theater school that I worked at after I finished my BA, which is in theater. And he wrote this particular song. He wrote a couple of verses of it, and I wrote the last verse, so you might be able to see a bit of a shift in the very last verse because of that. But he wrote the two verses as a part of his show, and the song is about identity. It's about maintaining your cultural identity. It's about knowing inside who you are, basically. So that's where the song came out of, a sort of a struggle from one of the students of finding out who she was, because she was raised by non-Native people, and she came to the theater school and started to really understand her core as an Indigenous woman. So that's where the song came from.
That's the difference. I mean, for someone like me, I was raised, I always knew who I was. I was raised in an Irish Catholic home. We were Irish Catholic. That was our lineage. We knew where we came from. But these children that grew up, a lot of them didn't know, because it was either beat out of them or psyched out of them, or that's fascinating to me. We're not going to play this song. Thanks so much, RoseAnne, again, for being on our Howl show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nick. It was great talking to you.
It's great talking to you, too. Now we're going to play RoseAnne Archibald's song, I Know Who I Am, and then we'll be back with more of Howl with Niki Koulouris.
It's gonna be fine, lady. Hey, you found the place. It's better than a lot of our guests.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Turn it on first.
Yeah, you've got to pronounce this name. Su Vankam
Suvankam.
Famavongas? Is that how you say it?
It's a T. Tamavongsa.
Oh.
Tamavongsa. And Adrian is Weiss. Not Weiss.
Sorry, do you want her a certain side? Where do you want her to come in? Where do you want her
Okay.
to be? Right there?
She's here.
Yeah.
No, on that side. Thank you. Poor Tom. He doesn't realize you're on the other side.
Yeah. She got out. Did she get out of her harness? No, she didn't. Okay. She tried to jump at the window ledge.
Did you get that?
I don't know. No, I didn't.
Okay, we're having fun and frolicking time here in the studio. We're here at Hard House on Main, having a good time here. My name is Nik Beat. I'm the host, and I'm also hosting next week's Howl Show. Howl Show is a spoken word, poetry, art, music show. And we were just talking earlier to former chief, Native Canadian chief, RoseAnne Archibald. She's a singer-songwriter. That was her song, I Know Who I Am, and that's excellent piece of music. Thank again to her and to Gay Boston for introducing me to her and her to me. It was great talking to RoseAnne again, and hope you're enjoying Howl. We now have in the studio, for the first time on radio, we have Niki Koulouris. Niki, welcome to Howl. You got to get right into the mic.
Hey, hi. Thanks for having me on the show, Nick. It's great to be here, and I appreciate it. Snowy night, but I made it into the studio.
You did, and we're really glad to have you here. I'm going to let people know why Niki is here. Niki is a late addition to the Howl Show. So we're going to be doing about maybe 5 or 6 minutes of interview and some reading, I hope.
Okay.
She's got a new book out.
Having a good time here. My name is Nik Beat. I'm the host, and I'm also hosting next week's Howl Show. Howl Show is a spoken word poetry, art, music show. And we were just talking earlier to former chief, Native Canadian chief, RoseAnne Archibald. She's a singer-songwriter. That was her song, I Know Who I Am, and that's excellent piece of music. Thank again to her and to Gabe Boston for introducing me to her and her to me. It was great talking to RoseAnne again, and hope you're enjoying Howl. We now have in the studio, for the first time on radio, we have Niki Koulouris. Niki, welcome to Howl. Gotta get right into the mic.
Hey, hi. Thanks for having me on the show, Nik. It's great to be here, and I appreciate it. Snowy night, but I made it into the studio.
You did, and we're really glad to have you here. I'm going to let people know why Niki is here. Niki is a late addition to the Howl Show, so we're going to be doing about maybe 5 or 6 minutes of interview and some reading, I hope.
Okay.
She's got a new book out called The Sea with No One in It, and the launch is coming up, and it is by Porcupine Quill. It's pleased to invite you to a launch event in honor of The Sea with No One in It by Niki Koulouris, and that's with Adrienne Weiss. She's launching her chapbook, Production 1060, The Oz Monologues, by Junction Books, and Suvankam Thamongas reading for her latest book, Light, by Peddler Press. That's Monday, March 10th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at No One Writes to the Colonel, 460 College Street in Toronto. Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah,
Niki?
people should come along. It's free, and there'll be nibblies. It's a cash bar, and Sue will be reading as well. We'll be doing 30 minutes of readings in total. And Sue, actually, she won a CBC Bookie Award 2014, so I'm honoured to have her read. And also Adrienne Weiss has a book coming out too called There Are No Solid Dancers Anymore, No Solid Gold Dancers Anymore. So remember that?
It's a great title.
Yeah.
I do remember Solid Gold. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so and that's by Junction Books. So that's the great Carlton Wilson. He's small press.
Small press.
Mm-hmm.
I just got launched by a small press, Lyrical Miracle. The book is called Famous for Falling, and you can still get it. There's 4 copies left. Get it through me or Luciana Giacobelli, or I'll buy the copies, sell it to you. Just let me know on Facebook, through Twitter, through my email address, nikbeatmb@yahoo.com. There's about 4 copies left, and we're going to run another printing. Thanks again to Lyrical Miracle and Luciana Giacobelli for that. This is exciting, lady. Are you excited about this launch?
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful. It looks great.
Thank
I can
you.
see, there's a bit of a punk floaty collage thing happening. That's your cover, I guess.
Definitely.
Right?
It's my collage that we was taken, and then we applied it to the cover.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I'm wondering if I could entice you to read maybe for 3 minutes.
Sure. I'll read. I have a couple of poems here, so I may as well. Okay. Just have to get into the zone. Okay, here we go. Today of all days, this is the sea, with no one in it. Is this all it will be, unable to dye all it touches in primitive ink? What could you give the sea but your stripes, since you ask, your war paint, your blindfolds, your appetite for westerns, in exchange for waves as wide as trains from the next frontier? Okay, I have one more. It looks like the ocean with its cargo of gunpowder and ash, bottles the colour of bulls from another era, longhorns moving ahead and not much else. Once it had been half man, half sea, unhealed yet unwounded by the greyest of steeples. I do not think of the deep. What has been worn will be worn again by sheiks. Why leave these shores when the rest of the waves will come to us? What more can they bring us, these waves, with their Formula One alligator instincts, but vast zithers and drop sheets that fall short of rafts?
Excellent. You're listening to Niki Koulouris from That Camera and That Camera. So let people know about the launch, which is March 10th from 7 to 9 p.m. And excellent book, excellent book. The Sea with No One in It by Niki Koulouris. Buy it. It's for sale there, I assume,
Sure,
obviously,
yeah.
right? How much is it, do you know?
It's $15.
That's a very reasonable price. Mine was $20. That's a very reasonable price. Thanks, Niki, so much for being on the show.
Thanks so much, Nick.
We're going to have you back for a lot longer time.
I'd love to come back.
I would love to have you back. And I hope you're enjoying Howl Radio. This is Nik Beat, as I said, filling in for Nancy